Rotary Club of Centennial. You do not have to genuflect, John. Okay.
No, I'm standing up.
Brad Habutzel, do you have a inspiration for us?
I do, if you insist.
I do insist.
All right. All right, dear Lord, as we meet to serve our community today and to use our resources wisely and well, we ask that you represent all members of our community fairly and to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize our responsibility to the past and to the future and to the rights and the needs of both the individuals and the community. As your trusted servants, we seek your blessings on our deliberations and on our efforts here today. May we act wise and well. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Thanks, Brad. Cheryl, lead us in the pledge, please.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Mr. Oline, do you have a Rotary Minute for us?
I do. Is this on? Yeah. I'm going to do a quick plug for Rotary chat groups. If you guys missed the email last week, Tripp sent out organizing Rotary chat groups. I think it sounds like a great way to get into some smaller groups and get to know other Rotarians throughout our group. The email outlines 8 groups. There's a hard copy of the groups on everybody's table. If your name's at the top of your group, you are the group coordinator. With the goal of trying to schedule a chat group between the 10th and 23rd of March. If you can't make your group's meeting, reach out to a leader of another group and see if you can join their meeting. It's just, again, a great way to get to know everybody. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Tripp. He's the one kind of organizing this. So that's what I have.
Thanks, Jeff. You did a good job. And by the way, you know, I joined this club 7 years ago, and boy, the list was a lot smaller back then. So, yeah, it's kind of nice to see this many people. In fact, we could probably go to 10 groups now. Okay, Mr. Barry, do you have a business minute for us?
I do. There's a lot of new faces in here since I did my last business minute. So I wanted to let y'all know that I am an auto broker. And people say, well, what's an auto broker? Yay. I'm a licensed used car dealer in the state of Colorado, but the bulk of my business is brokering new cars. So perfect example, I'll use our friend Mr. Livingston over here. He came to me a couple of months ago and wanted a new Subaru. So I found the car he wanted and brought it over, and we drove it, and he picked a color and showed up at my office and signed, boom, done. So it's a very, very simple process. I do take trades most of the time, unless it's a god-awful thing that I don't want, but I'll let you know that, honestly. But if you're in need of a new car, give me a buzz, and I'll be glad to help out.
Thanks, Mr. Barry. And I'd like to thank John Peterson, and did I see Tom Buck here this morning? I'm not sure. But Patrick's also going to be doing the takedown, so thank you very much, Patrick. Appreciate that. And Mary Alice, you greeted me nice and warmly, and I'm sure that you greeted everyone else just as warmly. Brad, that was a great inspiration. Thank you. And Cheryl, that was the best pledge I've heard this week. Okay. Thank you. We do have a visiting Rotarian, Lori Fitzsimmons. Lori, we'll let you put your breakfast down before you tell us who you are. What's that? Oh, Lori from Fitzsimmons. I thought you said Lori Fitzsimmons. Oh, okay.
And she's a prospective member.
Lori, would you like to just stand up and introduce yourself? Yeah.
Microphone.
Okay. Hi, my name is Lori Overton, and I'm from the Aurora Fitzsimmons Club, and I'm actually looking for a new club with a different time. So I'm an accountant, and I own some businesses, and so I'm interested in seeing what you guys have to offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. We hope to see you again. All right, we do have a couple of birthdays this month. Samantha Rowe on the 20th, and Vern Hansen is on the 23rd. How old are you, Vern? Okay, all right. And we do have one wedding anniversary, Susan and Randy Pye.
40 years.
40 years, very good. The woman has the patience of a saint. Okay.
She actually is questioning this.
Is she? Okay. Okay, we do have a blessing bags update. I got this email from Sarah because we had an upcoming meeting or an upcoming event to fill the blessing bag.
Online and or register for just one event that you'd like to go to. Thanks.
And on Sunday, the Americans serve the greasy hangover food.
Yeah, I think there's Bloody Marys on Sunday.
Thank you for paying to make an announcement. Anyone else at this table?
I'm just happy to have Lori join us this morning. Thank you.
This is Friday. Yeah.
I have three. Here you go. The first one is for Lori. It's always good to have a visitor, and we don't have enough accountants in this club, so it's good to have you. And the other two is, guess who's number one in NCAA basketball?
Oh, is it true?
Of course. After a great comeback a week ago, man, that game was awesome. Down by 26 points with 6 minutes left, and they came back and won. And then they're playing the Tar Heels tomorrow, so it's going to be an awesome game. So go Blue Devils.
Anyone in the back table?
I have a happy dollar for everybody who participated in our flower power yesterday. And second of all, it's kind of a recognition to the Primetimers group. They meet the second Monday for lunch, right? And there's 4 or 5 Rotarians who usually show up and help, but I see a lot of faces in here who have never been there. So I think you ought to show up and see what the old timers do and how well Mary Alice and Cheryl do this. It's a great activity, and so they always need some help setting up chairs and serving meals. So the next one is, when's the next one, Mary Alice? Second Monday in March. So anyway, they should be recognized, and we need to show up and help them more often.
Thank you. Anyone else at this table? No. Okay.
I have 2 happy dollars. One is just happy to be back amongst you all, and my second one is a thank you to John Peterson. In my travels, I like to give our flag away, so John gave me this wonderful little contraption to put our flags in it. But I used it so much, John, I'm sorry it came apart, but thank you.
Anyone else?
I got 5 happy bucks, but I'm only happy for 2 of them, I guess. I'm indebted to you for the other 3. One, is just happy to have some father-son time on Friday night. The circus still exists. It was in town over at the Denver Coliseum, and so that was fun, spending some time with Joshua. He got to ride a camel there, so that was cool. Also, a shout out to my wife. She started a new job, first full day today. She had been in her previous company for 6 years, and like many companies, it starts out great. It was great for 3 years, but the last 3 years when new leadership took over is stressful. So I'm so happy for her that she found something else that'll make her happy.
All right.
All right.
I have one, but I should have more because I brought the sign up for Meals on Wheels, and after that, I only have 1 space left. So if you'd like to have some fun, you get to go out and see the folks that we serve, please give me come and talk to me about signing up for Meals on Wheels.
Last opportunity. All right.
Yes.
This is actually an advanced planning happy buck. As the weather cools off the next few days, temperatures drop, I'm going to do my best to be happy for John and Karen Peterson as they're in Florida.
I have two. One is an apology dollar for not being here next week. We're just going down to do a quality control inspection of the orange crop. Thank you. And number two, thank you to David for filling in for me.
You're not changing your name to Mr. Meeks, are you?
I have
Trading
$2, and I don't know where the IOU is. However, please pass it to Phil. Because as he's climbing out of my truck yesterday, he said, and I'll be happy to pay for your breakfast tomorrow. And I said, okay, that's $20. And my second happy buck, thank you, Phil. And my second happy buck is for our guest speaker today. Thank you for being so ready and willing and able to come and join us today.
And I have two. One is a happy buck. I'm glad to see Lori here. Lori, I hope we'll see you here again. And the second is for the crew that took care of the flower power yesterday. This will be the first year I wasn't able to participate, but you guys got by without me. Thank you. I appreciate that. With that, Cheryl, would you like to introduce our mystery guest speaker?
I'd be happy to. 12:30 this morning, I was still at my computer and working.
A little closer.
Still had not received any kind of confirmation from our guest speaker, who was coming from the other side of Monument Pass. And so at 5 o'clock this morning.
So he, at that point, he did actually do what he said he was going to do. After one term, he stepped down. He's considered one of our greatest presidents. Now, there's this kind of debate. I read the biography of his biography, and I read James Madison's biography. And in both cases, they say, Hail to the Chief was created during their presidency. Both men were slight in build. And Madison's biography said, Dolly Madison, you know, when Washington walked into a room, I mean, when he died, he was measured at 6'3" 3/4, almost as tall as this guy standing up right here. Okay. And when he walked into a room, he was usually in his uniform, and people just turned around. He was just this magnificent structure, okay? And so little John Adams, what?
You said he was a magnificent
Specimen. Little James Madison, who's 5'2", you know, he walked in the room and nothing happened. So both of these biographies, and Polk was slight as well. And basically Polk's story was that when he was a kid, he had what we now think are kidney stones. They did this, he was very weak and sickly, and his father threw him on the back of a wagon, went to the nearest town that he said they had this special surgeon, and they operated on him, and supposedly he became impotent at that point, and he never had children. So his biography says Hail to the Chief was then created. So I don't know, one day we'll figure out from which president it was. But anyway, it's considered one of our great presidents. And then we had Zachary Taylor, again, a Whig who was a military guy, and he fought in the Mexican-American War. All these wars usually give us future leaders. Okay, many of our presidents, Harrison, Hayes, they all fought in wars and later would become president because the generals were our superheroes. We didn't have Batman and Superman. The generals were who we worshipped as a country. Zachary Taylor, another military guy who would die, it was the 4th of July, and he was dressed in a heavy coat, and it was like 100 degrees, and he was, it was so hot, and then he started drinking milk and cherries. I don't know, but he would drop dead. I think it was the next day. So he was not a president who died on the 4th of July. How many presidents died on the 4th of July? 3. Yes. Skip a president. So you had Adams, you have Jefferson, you skip a president, and you have Monroe. Okay? Is there a president who was born on the 4th of July? Calvin Coolidge. Okay, so where was I? Taylor. Okay, so Zachary Taylor dies, and then we get a president. His vice president was Millard Fillmore. They nicknamed him and John Tyler were both nicknamed His Accidency. and both of them are deserving of such titles. Millard Fillmore, in 1 year, he passed a law that's very nice, Be Nice to Animals law. It was the first law that you can't abuse animals. And that same year, he passes into law the Fugitive Slave Act, which basically tells us that if you're an escaped, if there's an escaped slave who goes to the north, because they felt that this is asylum for them, now the northern states were required federally to return those. So here we are being nice to animals, but not so nice to other fellow human beings. It's quite a dichotomy. He would later run again for president. He only served out Zachary Taylor's presidency. And then we have the dough-faced presidents, okay? Franklin Pierce and James Buchanan. They were called dough-faced presidents. How are we doing on time, okay?
You got at least 5 minutes.
Okay. So the dough-faced presidents were called that because, a piece of dough can be malleable and shaped into any way you want. And so these were northern presidents that had southern sympathies, okay? And so they, even though they're from the north and they got the northern votes, not realizing what they were going to do, they supported the southern states, and this eventually would lead to the tearing of the fabric of the country.